Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what all our tabs are doing. So first, we'll look at our world outliner. That's basically like a hierarchy of everything that's in our scene. And let me just come over here, lower this down. So anything in my scene is in here. So if I grab a cube, it's going to show me what that cube is. And what that's going to do is bring us right down to our details, right? So our detail is really like an inspector, if you will. Like that's telling you what everything is inside of this one object that's selected. It tells you the material, what it is, any physics that are with it, collision, lighting, so forth and so on. So everything is connected to that one that I select. So we have our world outliner, we have our details. Sometimes I like to switch this off just like I do in some other kinds of software. So if I click on this one here, it switches everything to that. So sometimes what you can do is I'm going to go to Window and add a detail. So I'm going to say I'm going to add a second one. It only allows you to do 4, but I'll add a second one here. And what I'll do is I'll drop it up here. So I'm selecting it and I have my 2. And what I want to do is right up here, I'll lock it. So if there's something in here I like, I can always, now when I select something else, right, it'll change the bottom one and I can see what's going on in here at the same time if I want to have that. So sometimes I'll do that. Let's exit out. Just so I can have those extra details. So World Builder has everything in it. And just very quickly, if you wanted to make a hierarchy, so say I have this and here. So maybe I have these two here and I want to move them at the same time. Yes, I can select them and move them, but if I want to make a hierarchy out of them, I could say cube, which is that cube, and cube 2. I'm going to take cube 2 and just drag it right on top of cube 1, and now, or a regular cube, they're parented together. So that's how you can do some hierarchy inside of there. Let me just undo that. So now that we have that, let's talk a little bit over here about our actors. So what our actors are going to be are really just our shapes, right? I can come in here, drop things in here, cubes, spheres, whatever it is I want to use. If I want to put an empty character in there, I can. Now, we'll get into what that is a little bit later on. Pawn, like they just have a lot of different kind of objects I can add in here, right? Player start, things of that nature. A point light, it's really the basic stuff that's in. I can also, cinematics, we won't go into that too much. Visual effects, we're going to hold off on that, but we will talk about some geometry. And geometry is a little bit different than our basics. So if I put a box in here, you can see it's a little bit different. And we're going to get into what we can do with this in another video, but it is a little bit different. You can see there's vertices on here. We're able to edit this right inside of Unreal to help our block out look a little bit more unique instead of just some similar, simple objects. But we'll get into that later on. And I wouldn't really worry about volumes or all classes. All classes just has everything in it. Really what we want to be going with is basic, and to a point we'll go into geometry in a little bit. So that's really what this is going to keep us over there. Down below here is our content browser. So this is where everything, it is like, it tells us where everything is, where our folders are, our assets are. If I click on this little button here, it actually gives you your browser, just so you can go through it just like you would in Windows, and everything will be in there. So if I say, oh, let's see what I have for meshes. There are meshes. Whoops. Oh, we'll get into that in a moment. So I can go in here at any point. Look at my, maybe I have some characters in here. Let's see our meshes. Sure, we have some meshes in here. I could drag that in there. And if I hit F, I can zoom around that. Now I have a female character in here. We'll talk later on about how to hook all that up. But for now, this is just how you can see what you have in there. If I have materials, I can look at my materials. My textures, here they all are. So forth and so on. So this is where everything can, just like you would in any other engine, has all your content in here. And again, you can click back here to see all that. Right over here, view options, we can change this, and you can look here. There's a lot of different kind of things that you can make it look like. And like I was saying, if you come in here, you can say, you can dock it, show favorites, you can make it into a list. You can also go into columns. The thing that's kind of nice about columns is if I come in here and I go to meshes, it gives you a lot of information about size. So this is kind of a nice way to put it in here if you really need more informational stuff. Me, I like to see the visuals, but I do go back and forth with these because I like to see all the information that it has associated with whatever mesh or texture that I have. And if I kind of go back, let's see, we'll go into my textures and you can really see like what size they are 512, 2048. It lets you know what's going on with all these. So this is pretty good. So that was a real quick walkthrough. Oh, and we'll talk a little bit out here. This will save your current scene. If you go to File, you can say New Level, Open Level, Save Current as, Save All Levels, Save All. Saving all just saves everything that's in your scene, which I typically do no matter what I'm working on. Let's see. Source control we won't really go into. Modes we'll go into it a little bit later. We'll go into content browser a little later. Really the things I want to show you, like you can go into settings. This will allow you to really play around with how you see things, right? So group selections allows translucent. Blueprints we'll go into later. Cinematics we may or may not go into. The build, if we click on this, this allows you to build. What it's going to do is before you go into your game, it allows you to say, oh, I want to rebuild the geometry or rebuild the lighting. And it'll give you errors if you don't, if you've done a lot of changes. I will usually just click on the build and just build everything. And it can take a few minutes, but that's all good. That's what you usually have to do. I can go into my play. So we can say what we want to go and how it will look. Typically, you can just keep it into play. Let's hit that now. And now we have our little character here that moves around. Stuff already has that. There's our little lady down template. So here we go, right? All right, hit escape to get out. And your launching just will tell you what it's going to launch to. Typically, you just want to keep it to your desktop for now. And that's really a lot about what's going on here. Let's just talk about the little things we have here. So we have perspective. We can do top, bottom, left, right, front, back. We can also, if we go here, we can go to layouts and change our layout to be whatever we want. Right, so if we want to do that kind of stuff, we can. If we go into this, lets us know what we're looking at. So right now it's at lit. We can go to unlit. Pretty hard to see everything, but that's how that can go. We can do wireframes, lighting only, whatever you feel that it'll help you make your game. So I'll go ahead and keep it to lit, and we can change what we want on here. We can what we're seeing. Whether it be collision, grid, fog, we can turn all this kind of stuff off if we want to. So yeah, there it is. That's our start with just playing around with navigation and understanding what we're looking at here in Unreal.